The first thing Kraus notices isn't the enemy. It's the ground. His boots sink past the ankles into a coarse, soot-colored grit. This isn't sand. It is volcanic ash. Soft, deceptive, and treacherous. To the Marines of the 4th and 5th Divisions pouring onto the beaches labeled green, red, and yellow, the island feels like a living organism trying to swallow them whole. "Move! Get off the beach!" NCOs scream over the wind. But movement is an agonizing crawl. Men fall to their knees, their heavy packs dragging them backward into the surf. The Amtraks, tracked landing vehicles, churn the ash in vain, their treads spinning helplessly as they belly out on the terrace. Every step toward the interior of the island is a grueling struggle against the geography itself. For nearly an hour, the Marines consolidate. But they expect the typical Japanese doctrine: a fanatical banzai charge at the water's edge, an easy target for the Navy's big guns. But the shoreline remains eerily empty. High above them, squinting through a narrow concrete slit in the face of Mount Suribachi, General Tadamichi Kuribayashi lowers his binoculars. He has spent months transforming this 8-square-mile rock into a subterranean fortress. He has forbidden the banzai charge. He has ordered his men to stay in their rats' dens. An 18-kilometer labyrinth of tunnels, some 75 feet deep, ventilated by sulfurous steam and lit by dim electric bulbs. Kuribayashi waits until the beaches are congested, until the Amtraks are piled up and the Marines are bunched together in the soft ash. Then, he picks up a field telephone. "Open fire!" The world explodes. From the unconquerable Mount Suribachi to the south and the jagged highlands to the north. A crossfire of hidden mortars, 4.7-inch coastal guns, and Nambu machine guns tears into the landing zones. There are no muzzle flashes to aim at. The Japanese are firing from camouflaged pillboxes reinforced with several feet of concrete and volcanic rock. Sergeant Kraus dives for cover, but there is none. You cannot dig a foxhole in volcanic ash. The sides simply cave in as fast as you scoop the grit out. He watches a nearby Higgins boat take a direct hit from a shore battery, vanishing in a spray of splintered wood and crimson water. The Sulphur Island has just bared its teeth, and the Marines are caught in the open, pinned against a sea they can no longer return to. By D-Day +3, the base of Mount Suribachi is a charnel house. The 550-foot dormant volcano looms over the southern tip of the island like a silent sentinel, its honeycomb of hidden gun positions still raining death onto the beaches. For the 28th Marines, the mission is simple but suicidal. Take the mountain. Rain lashes the slopes, turning the volcanic dust into a slick gray paste. Corporal Charles "Chick" Robeson grips the handle of his M2-2 flamethrower, a 70-pound burden that makes him a walking bomb. He doesn't see an army. He sees narrow slits in the rock that spit fire. The Japanese are ghosts. A Marine will toss a grenade into a cave, hear the blast, and move on, only for a Japanese soldier to emerge from a hidden tunnel exit 50 yards behind him and open fire. "Burn 'em out!" the platoon leader screams. Yusad Robeson moves forward under a curtain of suppressive fire. He reaches the mouth of a reinforced bunker. He squeezes the trigger, and a liquid jet of thickened gasoline roars into the darkness. The screams that follow are muffled by the thick concrete, a grim reminder that this is no longer a war of maneuvers. It is a war of extermination. By the morning of February 23rd, a small patrol led by Lieutenant Harold Schreer reaches the rim of the crater. The wind is howling, carrying the stench of sulfur and decay. Finding a length of discarded water pipe, they fasten a small American flag to it and heave it upright. Below, on the beaches, and aboard the massive fleet, a roar goes up. Ship whistles shriek. Men who had been cowering in the ash for 4 days stand up and cheer. But the celebration is premature. The Secretary of the Navy, James Forrestal, watching from a landing craft, turns to General Holland, Howlin' Mad Smith, and says, "Holland, the raising of that flag on Suribachi means a Marine Corps for the next 500 years. He wants that flag as a souvenir. A second, larger flag is sent up to replace it, the one captured in Joe Rosenthal's iconic photograph. As the second flag rises, the Marines on the summit don't feel like heroes. They feel like targets. They know that while they hold the head of the island, the body, the jagged, broken northern plateau known as the meat grinder, remains firmly in the hands of Kuribayashi. The general, watching the flag from his underground command center miles away, calmly adjusts his spectacles. He knows the Americans think the worst is over. He knows they are wrong. As the Marines turn their gaze north from the captured heights of Suribachi, the landscape transforms into a nightmare of jagged limestone and sulfurous vents. This is the Motoyama Plateau, soon to be christened the Meat Grinder by the men tasked with taking it. Here, the Japanese defense reaches its peak of lethal ingenuity. There is no front line. There is only a three-dimensional zone of fire where death can come from above, below, or behind. Private First Class Miller crawls through a ravine toward Airfield No. 2. The ground is hot to the touch, warmed by the volcanic activity beneath his belly. Suddenly, the earth itself seems to breathe. A camouflaged steel plate slides back, and a Japanese 47mm anti-tank gun thrusts its muzzle out, firing point-blank at an approaching Sherman tank. Before the Marines can return fire, the gun is winched back into the mountain, and the steel plate vanishes under a layer of dust. "They're under us," Miller shouts, but his voice is drowned out by the rhythmic thud of screaming Mimis. Massive Japanese mortars that wobble through the air like trash cans, tumbling end over end before obliterating everything within a 50-yard radius. The battle settles into a grueling, yard-by-yard slog. The 3rd Marine Division is committed to the center, flanked by the 4th and 5th. Their objective: Hill 382 and the Turkey Knob. These are not just hills. They are hollowed-out fortresses. Inside Hill 382, the Japanese have carved out multi-story rooms with reinforced concrete, connecting to a vast network of tunnels that allow them to reinforce any point under attack without ever surfacing. And the air in these ravines is a toxic cocktail of sulfur, rotting corpses, and the metallic tang of blood. The Marines adopt a new, brutal doctrine: corkscrew and blowtorch. It is the only way. One team pins down a pillbox with BAR, Browning automatic rifle fire, while another crawls forward with satchel charges and flamethrowers. They corkscrew the enemy in with explosives and then use the blowtorch, the terrifying M2 flamethrower, to incinerate the oxygen within the tunnels. Despite the carnage, the Japanese do not break. General Kuribayashi has issued a standard of combat to every soldier. Each man will, duty-bound, kill 10 of the enemy before he himself dies. There are no more banzai charges. There is only the patient, cold-blooded efficiency of the sniper and the hidden gunner. By the end of the 2nd week, the 4th Marine Division's casualty rate nears 50%. Regiments are being led by captains. Platoons are being led by corporals. The island is eating the heart out of the Marine Corps, one limestone ridge at a time. By mid-March, the body of the island has been broken, but the head, a jagged, nightmarish ravine at the northern tip known as Death Valley, remains a site of fanatical resistance. The Japanese 109th Division has been compressed into a final pocket of resistance less than 800 yards wide. Water is gone. Food is a memory. The air in the tunnels is thick with the smell of gangrene and the sulfurous heat of the volcanic rock. General Kuribayashi, his fine uniform now tattered and stained with the dust of Iwo Jima, sends his final radio message to Tokyo. The bullets are gone and the water has run out. I am sorry that I have let the enemy occupy a piece of Japanese territory. He strips off his medals and rank insignia, choosing to fight as a common soldier. He forbids his men from the easy escape of ritual suicide. He demands they take one last toll on the Americans. On the night of March 25th, the silence of the nearly secured island is shattered. In a final, desperate act of defiance, a force of 300 to 500 Japanese soldiers, including pilots, sailors, and the remnants of the infantry, creeps out of the northern caves. This is not a screaming banzai charge. It is a silent, disciplined infiltration. They descend upon the airfield at West Perch, where American pilots and Seabees are sleeping in tents. The carnage is immediate and intimate. Men wake to the flash of katanas and the blast of grenades. For several hours, a confused, hand-to-hand melee rages in the dark. By dawn, the last of the Japanese force is annihilated. Among the piles of dead, the Americans search for Kuribayashi, but his body is never identified. When he has vanished into the ash of the island he swore to protect. On March 26, 1945, 36 days after the first boot touched the black sand, the island is declared secure. But the security of Iwo Jima has come at a price that stuns the American public. The statistics are a grim testament to the ferocity of the defense. Of the 21,000 Japanese defenders, only 216 are taken prisoner. The rest have perished in the tunnels or the ravines. For the U.S. Marines, the victory is Pyrrhic. They have suffered 26,000 casualties, including nearly 7,000 dead. In no other battle in the Pacific did the total American casualties exceed those of the Japanese. Admiral Chester Nimitz, reflecting on the carnage, famously remarks, "Among the Americans who served on Iwo Island, uncommon valor was a common virtue." The strategic impact, however, is undeniable. Even before the island is fully cleared, new B-29 superfortresses are already making emergency landings on the airfields. By the war's end, over 2,400 of these massive bombers, carrying some 27,000 crewmen, will find sanctuary on Iwo Jima's runways. Men who otherwise would have ditched in the vast, unforgiving Pacific. As the transport ships pull away from the shore, the survivors look back at the silhouette of Mount Suribachi. The black sands are now littered with the wreckage of war. Twisted steel, discarded helmets, and thousands of simple white crosses. The Sulphur Island remains a silent, scarred monument to a month of madness, where two cultures collided in the most brutal struggle of the 20th century.